Social media is surrounded by really bad ab workouts that you might fall in the trap of using. I guarantee you, if you looked up right now, quick fat burning abs workouts, there's people jumping around their kitchen like an absolute idiot, doing exercises that won't work for them. But in this video, I plan to change this all around and build some trust between me and you to a point where I can get you abs quite easily. I'm gonna supply you with some basic knowledge, and I'm also gonna supply you with my go-to abs exercises that helps me keep abs 24/7 year round. Except after I binge on a big, huge McDonald's. I'll put the photo right here. So with that being said, let's jump into the first abs exercise. First one being the cable crunch. First thing we want to focus on is the actual setup of the movement. Now, my sweet spot for the cable and the rope attachment, set the cable to around hip height, which is normally my sweet spot, but this is all going to depend on the length of the rope. Now we can take 2 steps back away from the cable and get down onto our knees. Now this is an exercise that a lot of people get the form wrong, and it's very crucial that you get this on point to get the best abs contraction and also correct breathing style. A lot of people focus on not rounding their back, and this is the case for other exercises. Things like deadlifts and squat, you want to avoid rounding your back, so we create that bad relationship and instantly try fix your spine when doing the crunch. Where this exercise is actually going to be the complete opposite to a deadlift cue. We're going to actually focus on rounding the back as much as possible, especially when we get to this crunching effect to give us the most contraction. One thing I see a lot of people doing is adding all of the pressure on top of their arms, so they're not actually crunching the weight with their abs, they're crunching it with their arms. And if we start to pull our elbows down at any stage in the movement, the weight is probably too heavy for you. Instead, focus on locking your arms into the side of your head and don't move them from this position. Start from a very low weight and focus on contracting your abs, which is going to naturally pull the weight closer to your body. When we get down to the bottom, we're gonna blow all of the air out of our body. We're gonna give a big squeeze, and the contraction time, 2 to 3 seconds. Then we're gonna brace for an extraction, so we're gonna do 2 to 3 seconds of slowly controlling it all the way back up and releasing the roundness of the spine. Blow all the air out of the body and prepare yourself for another crunch. Now, if you feel uncomfortable using the cable and bending over in front of people, I completely understand. So instead, you can just ask one of the members of staff in your gym if you have the ability to use one of the cable crunch machines. If you have access to this machine, this just does a good job, but I just like the cable resistance. So if you feel comfortable, try out the cable before going to alternatives. The idea of the crunch is to work the top abs, okay? So you can see a lot of people, when you look at their core, then normally the thing they struggle with is the lower abs. So there's gonna be an exercise later on in the video to help you with that. But oftentimes that's why you see most people having really developed upper core and then the lower core is severely lacking, is because they miss out on this exercise. Another crucial part to having a strong looking core is your obliques. Now, a lot of people neglect the obliques, which is the side of their abs, because they think it's an inconvenience to train, just like legs. And in my opinion, it's crucial to have a strong looking core. And I'm going to show you an exercise that's going to take no longer than 5 minutes to do at the end of your session, that's going to have you looking like Superman or woman. This one is going to be cable wood chops. And it almost represents more like a golf swing, but a lot of people think of it too much as a golf swing and they don't focus on the resistance in the right areas. So first of all, the setup, a cable. We're going to put it just below shoulder height to a point where we're pulling across our body as opposed down. Then we're going to get a D handle. And just like you're praying, I want you to wrap your hands around the D handle to a point where you're getting equal resistance on both arms. You're going to take a step back from the cable, so you're pulling across your body. We want the resistance to be traveling away from your body and over towards that side of the room, because if you pull it too close to your body, you're just neglecting the obliques. And at that stage, it will just be more of like a bicep and tricep routine. So with this, you don't have to go any further than directly in front of you. A lot of people try to travel further past that to get a better squeeze, when in reality, after this point, the oblique's not really working. Understand the importance of when you pull the weight directly out in front of you is holding the contraction. Take 2 to 3 seconds to really feel the squeeze and extract all the air from your body by blowing all the air out. Then slowly control it all the way back down and feel the stretch of the oblique, and then repeat the movement. The idea of this exercise is to take it as slow as possible. Now, the thing everybody has been waiting for, their lower core exercises. Couple of different things I like to try out because it's going to depend on the person. We can do hanging leg raises, which I find it personally really hard to keep stability, so I like to go to my alternative, is simply lying leg raises. Now, it might sound stupid. You're in a gym full of equipment and you choose to lie on the ground and do some leg raises, but I promise you it's gonna benefit you. With this, quite simply, we see a lot of mistakes is bringing your knees too close to your body, and after the point of directly up in front of you with a 90-degree angle, angle, your abs aren't even working. The eccentric of the movement is so much more important than the positive. So we're gonna really focus on time under tension by bringing your legs down as slow as possible and keeping them as straight as possible. What this is gonna do is involve the lower core as much to keep you stable, and that's how we're gonna build that core. After a while, you can always use resistance band to make this a bit more harder, or you could even attach a plate in between your feet. Now please be aware, this plate might slip, so it's probably best to maybe use a dumbbell or something like that. Just don't let the weight fall and break your face. So everybody's probably wondering, how much sets and reps should you do to build that strong looking core? Each exercise stated, I would recommend doing 3 sets of around 10 to 15 reps. But the ideal weight that you can use is something that you can handle and correct your form perfectly. We want to be failing within the 10 to 15 range, and when training abs, it's so important to train until failure. This is a lacking muscle group for most people, although it may not look it, but it's definitely lacking in strength. So I want you to challenge yourself and take every single set that you do until failure. Failure being 100% max, being you cannot do no more, you're sweating, you're sore, you feel like crying, and that's failure. Now, how many times should you train them a week? I see so many people doing them every single day at the end of the movements, and just like every other muscle group, they need time to recover. So in my opinion, I would add them into your most dominant day. Now, what do I mean by that? For an example, let's take my split that I do personally. I do push-pull legs. My weakest muscle group is by far my legs, so the last thing that I'm gonna do is add in another weaker muscle group into that day, because I want to make sure my leg day has complete focus and most volume goes towards that. Now, what is my most dominant day? I would personally say my back and my arms are the most developed, so the first thing that I'm going to do is add in my weaker side on top of that day. So I will actually do my abs at the end of that routine. Or if you're severely lacking in core strength or core development, you can almost add your abs in at the very start of the day. Therefore, that's your main focus, you're giving it the most energy, you train abs, and then you go on to your most dominant exercises, which is pull, or whatever it is in your case. I would recommend taking 2 days a week to train your abs to complete failure, with at least 3 days rest in between. So for an example, a push-pull legs while adding abs into your pull day would be perfect. Or if it's upper, lower, full body day, either way works. Now, a quick disclaimer before the video ends, my abs exercises are not going to get you abs. Let me explain. They will help you develop them. And if you currently can't see your abs whatsoever, the chances are you're probably having a stubborn fat issue, which is something you need to deal with on another side. You can continue to do these abs exercises for the rest of your life, but if you don't have your diet locked in, you're pretty much screwed. So I'm gonna end this video here and attach a video that you can watch about the best fat loss diet that you can watch up next, that's gonna give you a perfect structure and some information that you may need. I'm also gonna leave it here that you can subscribe, like for further videos. With that being said, I will see you all over there.